Hello everyone and welcome back. On 26 November 2025, Hongfu Court Residential Complex, Tai Po District, Hong Kong. A fire erupts. Within hours, it becomes a 5-alarm blaze, engulfing 7 of 8 high-rise towers, each 31 stories tall. The flames burn for over 43 hours. The toll is staggering. At least 146 lives lost, including one firefighter. Dozens more injured. Scores still missing. Families shattered. Entire homes reduced to ash. This is Hong Kong's deadliest fire in nearly 80 years. As the world watched the flames consume those towers, as families waited desperately for news of loved ones, one aching question rose from every heart. Where is God in this? Facing such profound suffering and staggering loss of life, any words we attempt feel thin, almost fragile. In a disaster where 146 lives were extinguished and countless families shattered, and we cannot and must not reach for easy answers. True faith does not silence the hard questions. It dares to bring them into the open, standing amidst the ashes and acknowledging the mystery that lies beyond human understanding. God is not distant, watching from the sidelines with cold detachment. He is in the tears, in the breaking cries of those waiting for a name, in the backs of firefighters climbing upward as flames fall downward, in the tired yet faithful hands of volunteers sorting through deep debris. He reveals himself in very small, concrete act of love that flickers stubbornly against the darkness. As the prophet Isaiah wrote, in all their distress, he too was distressed. Isaiah 63:9. Yet this brings us into the deepest tension of the Christian faith. Why would God, who is both all good and all powerful, allow tragedy to unfold at all? This question is not new. Every generation faces it again. And the answer is not found in philosophical abstraction, but at the foot of the cross, the place where Christ, the one called Emmanuel, God with us, entered the darkest depths of human suffering and carried the full weight of evil in his own body. He did not come to explain all suffering. He came to join us in it. He did not erase every pain immediately, but in his resurrection, he declared that pain itself would one day be swallowed whole. What we do not see in the flames is not God's absence. What we see are the consequences of a world fractured by sin, the greed of human hearts, systemic failures, inferior materials, ignored warnings, a tragic chain forged by misused freedom. God grants human beings real dignity through real freedom, even when that freedom is twisted with devastating results. But this is not the final chapter. The eyes of faith look through the smoke and see future no flame can touch. A future where God Himself will wipe every tear from every eye. Revelation 21:4. And so our cry in this moment shifts. It is no longer only why. It becomes a trembling, resilient confession. Even so, I will trust you. Trust the God who works with us through the fire. Trust the hope that outlives death. Trust that love, His love, remains stronger than every flame and stronger than the grave. The investigation into the HongKongFire reveals a devastating truth. This was not merely a tragedy, but an act of moral evil. A decision made in a ballroom, a calculation of cost over safety, sealed the fate of families who trusted those walls to protect them. The complex was shrouded in renovation scaffolding. Within that shell, a fatal choice was allegedly made: the use of highly inflammable expanded polystyrene panels, common styrofoam to seal windows on every floor. They were cheap, they saved money, and they wrapped 31 stories in a fuel blanket. Compounding this, fire alarm system failed to sound. The most heartbreaking detail is one of forewarning. Residents had raised safety concerns about these very hazards a full year earlier. Their warnings were ignored. Scripture diagnoses this corruption with chilling precision. Whoever is greedy for unjust gain troubles his own household, but he who hates bribes will live. Proverbs 15:27. The officials sought to enrich their own household. In doing so, they brought literal fire and ruin to hundreds of others. We see the immediate cause: cheap foam and human greed. But we must go deeper. The ultimate root of this fire and every act of negligence is the biblical truth that since humanity's rebellion, the human heart has departed from its Creator. We are by nature slaves to sin, losing the ability to consistently choose the true good. This fire is a devastating sign. When humanity builds its world apart from God, that world is inevitably built on the unstable foundation of greed, corruption, and self-interest. This clear chain of human failure, however, leads not to peace, but to a more profound and agonizing silence. It raises the question that keeps people from faith and shakes even believers to their core. If God is both all good and all powerful, why did he allow 146 people to die in a fire caused by human greed? This is the hardest question. It demands an honest answer, one that wrestles with the twin truth of God's sovereign authority and the human responsibility. God did not cause this fire, but he allowed it. To understand why, we must consider the alternatives to a world with genuine human freedom. 1. God could create beings incapable of sin, but this would mean removing our free will, programming us only for good. We will be moral robots, incapable of meaningful love, relationship, or choice. 2. God could supernaturally intervene to stop every evil act. While attractive in theory, this loses its appeal in the moment God's intervention blocks something we desire. We want him to stop horrendous evil, yet we exercise the lesser evils. Every lie, every cut corners, every moment of selfish neglect that are the very seeds of catastrophe. A world with no consequential choices is not a world of moral beings. 3. God could instantly judge and remove every sinner. The problem is dark, for all have sinned. Romans 3:23. There will be no one left. The executives at the HongKongFire court had a real choice: quality materials or deadly foam. They chose greed. They chose to ignore the warnings. The consequences of that immoral freedom are unspeakably tragic. Yet, to intervene and prevent every evil choice would be to provoke that freedom entirely, reducing us to puppets. God allows the consequences of human freedom to stand as a sobering demonstration of its immense value and its terrifying risk. We cannot have both ways. We cannot demand the dignity of free will and then blame God when the freedom is horrifically misused. As we slowly lift our gaze from the ruins of HongKongFire court, the silence of those 146 lost lives still speaks. What we have witnessed is more than a fire. It is the eruption of human greed, the tragic consequence of neglected warnings, compromised materials, and the heavy cost of a world where God allows real freedom. And over these ashes, one question continues to smolder. Why does God permit this? Part 1 leaves us in the most honest place faith can bring us, suspended between God's mysterious sovereignty and humans' devastating choices. Here, no quick answers can soothe. Here, we stand with questions that feel signed around the edges, questions that refuse to settle for shallow explanation. But this is not the end of the journey. It is the threshold of a deeper one. In part 2, we will walk beyond the smoke, not merely observing suffering from afar, but entering its heart. We will see the God who stepped into humanity's burning building, the Christ who carried our graves enter our flames, and on a seemingly forsaken cross lay a foundation that no fire, no justice, no death can ever reduce to ash. Above the rubble, a promise still waits to be heard. Let's continue this journey together. Thanks for watching part 1. I will see you in part 2.